so pleased to have head coach Mike White join us on the hotline. Now, Mike, I appreciate the time. How are you today?
Oh, doing great. Thanks, Craig. Just, trying to get ready for this big series this weekend, and looking forward to some good weather, hopefully.
I was struck by something you had mentioned after, it was a tough series. Certainly, possibly could have won all three games against Oklahoma State, but ended up taking just the middle game of the series. And I know you were pleased by a lot of what you saw, especially in the final game last Saturday, where one pitch can make the difference, I guess, but very, very early on with what you got out of your pitching after that. But the one pitch obviously makes the difference in that. How do you explain that and talk to your team about things like that? That's the smallest of things sometimes can make a big difference in one game. One mistake or perhaps just one outstanding play by an opponent can make a difference.
Well, yeah, absolutely. We hit on that all the time, and we try to point out situations during the game that don't show up on the scoreboard, where there's opportunities to make a play or get an extra base or something, and that leads into either a bigger inning or something that may hurt you. So we point it out all the time, and obviously, that inning started with an error at third base, and then we had a hit by pitch, a pitcher's error, and then of course we made a mistake down the middle of the plate and 3 runs in the ball game. So that's how close the series was. But I was proud of the way we bounced back. Mac Morgan came in and pitched extremely well for us. But we do point out those small things in the game mean a lot that sometimes you don't see straight away.
Is it also difficult for you as a coach to be able to separate when you look at some of the numbers? Your team has posted some really impressive numbers. A 1.41 team ERA. You're hitting 377. But coaches always see where their teams can be better, and your ball club is 29-5. What do you like most about what you're seeing from the team 34 games into the season? And by the same token, the things where you feel you can be better to definitely be that national contender you want to be again.
Yeah, well, we started off so hot. I mean, everyone was tearing the cover off the ball. We had a tough time finding place for players to play, because there's such a competition going on. And then we kind of hit a little bit of a patch there. Kind of as a coaching staff, you've been around and been through this before, and it just can't last at that torrid pace. And you kind of wait for that moment to happen where we need to be able to kind of make some corrections and fight back. And I think we're in that period right now. In the last couple of weeks, we haven't quite been as hot, and obviously there's a lot of information out there, and people are making adjustments to what we do, and we've got to counter adjust. And that's what we're trying to work with the team on right now, is understanding that we have to do something a little bit different, otherwise I'm keep getting the same results. And unfortunately, we got shut out 14 innings there in last weekend, and we've got to do better against Oklahoma staff.
So
hopefully to get a couple of games.
Mike, what do you notice as the biggest difference in a game like that when your team is swinging the bat well and when you get close but don't come through, like you mentioned a couple of shutouts there? What's the thing that a coach of your pedigree and your experience notices with your keen eye about the difference? How much is it as the opponent, and how much is it correctable things that you feel your ball club can execute to be better in those situations?
Yeah, well, obviously, there's always a level of how well you can play, and then a level that you play to, and you've got to minimize that gap between the two, and those are the ones that are most consistent over the time. And we know that it's not a physical thing; it's always a mental thing. So, what are we learning from each opportunity? What kind of approach are we taking? Are we being aggressive or are we being timid? Are we taking it to the opponent, or are we sitting back and waiting for something to happen? And I think there's been a little bit of the latter in the last couple of weeks, and so we really get back to being like opening day, and just there's no expectations. We just got to play our game and be more aggressive. I believe.
Visiting with Mike White, Texas softball coach here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. When we visited earlier, we talked about several of your veterans, those who have been around, like a Bella Dayton, or certainly even a redshirt sophomore like an Ashton Maloney or Mia Scott, Alyssa Washington, Reese Atwood. We've talked about a lot. One player I didn't ask you about in our earlier visit, and I wanted to get your thoughts on her progress because it looks pretty impressive seeing what she's done this far. And I'm talking about a freshman, and sometimes some freshmen catch on quicker and contribute quicker than some other ones. But your thoughts on Caden Henry and what you're getting from her so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I've kind of likened her to Mia Scott, in the same kind of mold, and obviously Janae Jefferson from a couple of years ago. With that left-hand bat, has a lot of speed, has the ability to make plays in the field. And she just needs a little more experience right now. But we were so impressed by her that she started the season off at number 9, and just her, her slugging percentage and her RBIs were such that we felt like she'd be better at the top of the order. So we put her up there, and it was working really well. But obviously, as you know, the people make adjustments to what they're doing, and now she's battling a little bit of that. But she's got a kid that just kind of takes it as it comes. She doesn't put too much pressure on herself, and she has high expectations. So I'm excited to see what she brings, in the next year or two.
How about you mentioned Mac Morgan, and obviously Sid Lally is pitching well for you as well. How about the overall of what you're getting from your pitching staff?
Yeah, obviously, if you look at the ERA between last year and this year, we're doing much better and much more consistent. And I think that was something we wanted to have happen, for this year. Is that last year we were very up and down. We had some really, really good series, and that was a series where we just gave up too many runs. So I think the consistency's been there, and the ability with Tegan Cavan, the freshman coming in, just gives us a little bit different look, because she's more of a rise ball pitcher and throws up in the zone, a few more strikeouts. I think that's helped us as well. But Mac Morgan's having a really good second half of the season, or the middle part of the season right now, and she's competing with Citlali Gutierrez to see who's going to get the starts here, going into the big series.
Curious to get your thoughts on this Oklahoma team, and maybe to some folks, they might look a little more human since they actually lost a regular season game earlier to Louisiana. But how about your thoughts on the Sooners? Do they look that much different than the Oklahoma teams that you played of recent vintage? What really strikes you about this team?
Well, they have 10 seniors, so they're a senior leadership class. You may say they're in their 4th year, they're rebuilding, but they never seem to be rebuilding. They're just, just another strong team after the other. And, they have, they're not only good offensively, they're good defensively. And of course, the pitching is solid as well. I think they've got 6 pitchers on staff, and the ERA is well below 1.5 as well. So, they're tough. They can do it all. But we've got to understand that the team that plays the best on the day wins, and we just got to be able to bring it and do the best we can against them. They're very, very tough.
Do you get the impression from your group that they really enjoy the challenge of playing the number 1 team? I know there's rivalry thing that always goes into Texas and Oklahoma. We're all quite certainly aware of that. But just even matching themselves like you did earlier in the year against Tennessee and some of the other outstanding teams, that your group gets a real kick out of playing one of the best teams in the country and a chance for them to show what they can do.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. It's I'm not even sure where we're ranked this week. I know it's in the top 5 probably, but you got a matchup here of I think someone mentioned it to me today that this is the first time since quite a long time that we've been 2 top 10 teams are facing each other at home here. So it's an opportunity for us to face one of the top teams in the country at home, obviously in Oklahoma, and that's always a big series, and it will be the last matchup in the Big 12 for us. So we're looking forward to it.
All right, for folks who want to know, it'll be Friday afternoon at 5:30 at McCombs, Saturday evening at 7 o'clock, Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. And Mike, I appreciate you taking the time. This is an exciting weekend. We'll look forward to it. Best of luck against the Sooners this weekend, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Craig. Appreciate it.
Hook 'em. That is Mike White, Texas softball coach.